Well, let's now turn to the situation in the Middle East. Israeli forces in the Gaza Strip opening fire as people headed towards an aid distribution site at around sunrise this Monday. They killed at least 3 people and wounded dozens, according to Gaza health officials and eyewitnesses. The Israeli military said it fired warning shots at suspects who approached its forces. The shooting occurred at the same location where witnesses say Israeli forces fired a day earlier on crowds of people heading toward the aid hub in southern Gaza run by the Israeli and US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. And an Israeli strike on a residential building in the Gaza Strip on Monday killed some 14 people, most of them women and children, according to health officials. The Shifa and Al-Akhli hospitals confirming the death toll from the strike in the built-up area of Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza. They said 5 women and 7 children were among those who were killed. Let's bring in Noga Tarnopolsky. Noga is our correspondent in Jerusalem. Noga, a very good evening to you. Give us the latest situation on the ground as you are seeing it.
Good evening. One of the latest thing we've heard is another evacuation order issued by the Israeli army for residents of Hayunis. At this point, we have to say that more than 75% of Gaza, of the territory of Gaza, is under these multiple evacuation orders that the Israeli army issues before engaging in specific operations in those areas, but then never rescinds them. So it's always unclear for the residents in Gaza when, if at all, they can go back. And there are claims also connected to the way the humanitarian aid is being distributed, that Israel is using these evacuation orders not just to protect civilians from immediate or imminent strikes, but also to try and move the population, the entire population of Gaza, to more and more restricted areas towards the south of the territory.
Noga, bear with us a second. Effie Defrin is the spokesperson of the Israeli military, and he confirmed in this excerpt from a longer interview that the controversial aid distribution service, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, is in fact funded and run by Israel. Now, this is something Noga's been talking about, but let's hear Effie Defrin's words and then get Noga's take.
I'm here in the city of Rafah. Right behind me you can see one of the distribution centers we opened in the last few days. So far we opened 4 distribution centers and we are intending to open more of them.
Mr. Defrin saying distribution centers that they opened in the past 5 days, so they're admitting now that they are behind it all.
That's right. It's simply an astonishing admission, and it's beyond me why it's gotten so little notice. Israel, for weeks now, has been promoting a so-called independent initiative called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Nobody has understood who funds it, where it emerged from. The Americans have been back and forth, sometimes saying that they back it, other times backing away from it. And here we have, late last night, in the middle of a long holiday weekend in Israel, and obviously speaking in English, so Israelis can't really fully focus on it, we have the official spokesman of the Israeli army saying out loud that this is in fact an Israeli army initiative that we, he says, using his words, have established these distribution centers. Now, must be said, the leader of the Israeli opposition, Yair Lapid, and another opposition leader, a former defense minister, Avigdor Lieberman, have accused the current Israeli government over the past week or so of basically running false front operation, fake foreign companies that are covering the fact that Israeli funds, state taxpayer funds, are being used for this entire operation. We're still waiting to see how the government or even the army will react to the fact that this has now been revealed to be an entirely Israeli army operation.
Some people might say, Noga, that at least it's getting food to people, but isn't the issue here that it's about actually using this as a front to get intelligence, get military intelligence, somehow make sort of revelations about what is going on in the Gaza Strip?
Well, there's major concern that part of what this so-called Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is doing is gathering intelligence. The major concern that I have heard, though, is that this is all a front to enact an Israeli government policy, basically to evict Gazans from Gaza, to move them into such a small piece of territory, so crowded and so restricted, under the excuse that it's the only place where they'll be able to get food, that de facto Israel is engaged in a kind of quiet occupation of the Gaza Strip. But again, we haven't yet been able to get any responses to any of this, and the revelation by the Israeli army spokesman is quite new.
Indeed, given he used the exact words, "we set up these centres," it really does give it away. And no, just the final one, this actually succeeds, or rather comes after the pushing out of UNRWA, which of course was closed down back in January, February. And of course the breakdown in any aid getting through at all. So basically this has been set up in some way to replace that, but as you say, it is a very different entity.
Well, we don't know what sort of entity it is at all. Again, the organization has remained very shadowy, and the first concrete indication of what it may be came late last night from the Israeli army spokesman. But it's also unclear what exactly is going on with the UN operation. UNRWA, Israel passed a law prohibiting UNRWA from operating, quote, within the territory of the State of Israel. Gaza is not within the territory of the State of Israel, and we do know from the Israeli army itself that despite this new distribution operation that it has put into place, it has returned over the last week to allowing the UN to bring trucks of aid, medications and food into Gaza. We don't know what, if any of that, is getting to the people who desperately need it, but we do know that in an apparent acknowledgement that whatever's being brought in by these new distribution centers is not enough, that the Israeli army has gone back to allowing some kind of UNRWA operations at some level in Gaza.
Noga Tarnopolsky, as always, thank you very much indeed for the analysis you bring to this story. And it's important we do that to give everybody the nuance of what is going on. It is vitally important. Noga, thank you.